Welcome back. Now you probably can't tell unless I start going and zooming in here, but I have just completed changing out my upper timing guides for my chain. That one right there on the passenger side, and also the tensioner rail too. I've also removed my timing chain tensioner, cleaned it all up. The previous people who had been in here used a lot of RTV sealant and it was everywhere. I cleaned all that out. I've got new camshaft oiler tubes and clips installed on both sides. I have my air vacuum tubes that sit on top of the injectors. They're all replaced too. And it's all back together. And I am at top dead center there. My timing mark on the driver's side. That's pretty good. And passenger side. Where are you? Right there. A little bit of a, see, there you go. Now you can see it better. I have turned the motor over twice, which means a total of 4 revolutions off of the crankshaft hub down here. Nothing is binding. Everything sounds good. Everything looks good. Everything is back together the way it was. I can't tell you how long it took me because I've never done one of these before. But I took my time. There are a lot of videos out there on how to change timing chain guides. I used those, and I also used the official Mercedes-Benz M116 engine manual. And my chain looks great. Sprockets look great. This vehicle had both heads replaced at one time. And you can see the brand new, fresh, white timing guides. This is the driver's side. And they're on the passenger side. I am so glad I did this, because this is one from the driver's side, and here's the other one, broken in half. You can tell this one is a little bit newer, and that's a little bit older. These look like they're original. If you look closely, you can see the ridges rubbed in there by the chain. This was the driver's side, the passenger side, and these were original too. And you can see how they are worn by the chain. And this is the chain tensioner rail, which, look at the grooves on it. It is just awful. So when they replaced the heads, I have no idea why they didn't replace these guides. Makes no sense. But like I said, there is no history on this $600 car, and I'm just going with what I've got. Looking at my table of disaster here, where I had everything that I was using, and all my notes and tools. I am sure that they make a special tool to take out these pins right here, right there, that hold the guides into the head. I don't have that tool. I took some bolts, 3 different sizes here, and lots of washers that would fit over the head of that pin, and with an Allen wrench, as you can see, I just screwed them in to pull them out. Some people say that you can use a dowel puller or whatever, a pin puller. There's really not that much room in here to do that. This was a whole lot easier. When I say easier, I mean it still took me a long time because I didn't want to break anything. When I did put it back together, I lubricated all of the guides with the Lubriplate number 105 motor assembly grease. And it's now covering and coating the chain and the guides. And this is some great stuff. I got it at Napa. I am completely pleased with this. I've never done this before on a Mercedes-Benz. I think it worked out just fine. Everything is looking good. I'm getting ready to put valve cover gaskets on, and then I'm going to start assembling the front of the motor again. I've got to put the thermostat housing on here. I have to put on the upper and lower radiator hoses. I've got to put the washer bottle back in. I've got to put in the overflow tank. I've got wires everywhere down here that need to be plugged back in. I am going to clean up a lot of these vacuum hoses and run them a little bit differently. I've got to put the power steering pump back in, alternator. It needs to be filled with coolant, started, and of course I've got to put all the belts on too. I did replace the bolt here. This is the tensioner, where the tensioner arm goes for the air conditioning compressor belt. The original one was rounded off terribly by someone else. I did read in the manual that they redesigned this tensioner that fits on here, this arm, to make it easier because it was so difficult to get that bolt on and off. I went and just bought a brand new bolt, and I'm going to put that on there. I'm not going to go and upgrade to the new tensioning arm that's on there. Of course, I've got to put the fan back on and take this away from the radiator and spark plug wires. There is so much to reassemble here. It's not the nightmare that I thought it was going to be. Everything went smoothly. I'm just glad that everything's back in, the timing marks line up, and hopefully she's ready to go. The reassembly process is moving right along. Trying to be very careful with this very old wiring, making sure things are going to be lining up where they need to be. You can see I've got my valve cover on the passenger side now. I've reattached my transmission dipstick, fixing to get this hose right here, which goes like this, and then the vacuum hose hooks up into here, and this is what attaches to the bottom of your air cleaner when the air cleaner is on. Just slowly taking my time. I want to make sure that I'm doing everything correctly. I'm still trying to clean up a little bit as I go along. It's looking good. I'll tell you that disassembly goes a whole lot faster than reassembly, but I've got all the time in the world, so I will keep you all posted. Thanks for watching. Little update today. Working on the SL again, as you can see, making progress. I now have both the valve covers on. Went together very nicely. I did find that you need to, of course, remove your vacuum booster line right here and these 2 fuel lines in order to slide that in. But the other thing I noticed when I was putting it back together, and it became frustrating until I realized, you just need to loosen the cold start valve nut on this fuel line right here. That'll move just a little enough and just a little bit, be able to slide that valve cover back on, and then you just screw it back down. And that worked out great. The thermostat housing is back in with the small hose that goes between the intake manifold and the thermostat housing. This can be difficult to do. I followed a video from Mercedes Source, and he has got excellent videos on how to do things. Basically, you take, before you put the housing on, which has your thermostat in here, okay, put the hose on with the clamps loosely. Push the hose back as far as you can, okay? Lift up your warm-up regulator, which I have loosened, and then this hose will be loose enough for you to bend the hose up a little bit as you're putting this thermostat neck into the hose, and then bring it right back, and it falls right into place. It's perfect. Then tighten up your clamps. These bolts here, there are 3 of them. 1, 2, and 3 back there, and those are at 25 Newton meters. I did forget how this bracket went on, and it does go bracket on top of the dipstick tube before it bolts to here, okay? And this is the only one that has a washer. This one right here. And we're just going to continue on. I am slowly replacing vacuum lines, making sure they're all hooked up correctly. I did have some vacuum lines that were kind of, the rubber was kind of bad, and putting that all together new. I'm also kind of cleaning things up as I go along, just taking my time. I'm going to be hooking up some wires back to the assorted electronic components under here. And then I do believe that it is going to be time for me to start. What I will do is next I will put on probably the bracket, the adjuster for the air conditioning belt, and then I'm probably going to then mount the alternator and the power steering pump, and just keep moving right along. It's taking me a while, but I'm being very careful. I don't want to break anything. Things are old under here. I clean as I go along, and everything seems to be going well so far. Thanks for watching. 2 hours later. Can you tell if anything else has been done here? This is a quiz. Now I'm just taking my time. Now we have thermostat housing in. Idle air control valve is installed with all the hoses. Wiring is all back to where it should be. All vacuum hoses are plugged in. It's really coming along. I am pleased. This is a little bit of work. I must say, Mercedes definitely makes it a little challenging to get everything back to the way it should be. Like I said in my video yesterday, taking it apart was probably the easy part, but I'm really taking my time putting everything back together. We're on the driver's side looking down. I don't have spark plug wires in yet. My coil's still sitting off to the side. I don't have the distributor in yet, but I replaced some vacuum hoses and some fittings, made sure that all my wiring is run correctly. Just taking my time. I I am looking forward to the point where I can pour some coolant in this thing and start it up and see how she runs, and hopefully no leaks, no strange noises from the timing chain or the tensioner. But yeah, what I had to do was I took a lot of pictures as I took things apart, because there's a lot here. I can understand why a water pump job can cost as much as it does, but I didn't just do water pump. I've really gone through everything that I can think of that looks suspect, or something that looks like, well, the previous person that was in here just didn't hook it up correctly. And today is the first day of fall. It's the 21st of September, and hopefully within 2 weeks it'll cool enough off down here in the south to be able to get out and start enjoying driving this thing. So I've got a lot of work still ahead of me. Thanks for watching.